ASMR book tag. I have the questions on my phone here, and this is created by ASMR Fleur, who is like one of my favorite ASMR artists currently. And basically I'm just gonna read the questions and answer them, and I think they're just about books and ASMR and all of those fun things. So, question number 1. Did I hit play? I did hit play for this, so that's good. Okay, sorry. Okay, here we go. So, number 1 is, when did you start reading? And what is your relationship to reading? So, I started reading in, I think, kindergarten or like first grade, technically. Is that when you learn how to read? I don't know. But I would say then I remember learning about reading with those teachers. So I'm gonna say kindergarten / first grade is when I started. Reading for fun, I started to do that when I watched Matilda, the movie Matilda, for the first time. And in that movie, Matilda is like wildly brilliant and a genius and can read all of these books and goes to the library every day and basically reads so much that she becomes a genius, to the point that she can like move things with her mind and has like telekinetic powers. And that was literally all I needed to be like, yep, I'm gonna read all the books in the library so I can move things with my mind, you know? So I would say that was originally why I started to read and what originally like really got me into it. But when I first became like obsessed with reading would probably be when I read Twilight for the first time. Twilight was the first book series that really got me obsessed with reading. It was the first book series that everybody in my grade was reading, and we would all like go home and like binge read these books, come back and like talk about them. I watched every movie except for the first one during the midnight premieres, back when there was midnight showings of new movies. And I was just so obsessed with that entire franchise, to the point that I had an Edward Cullen cutout, and I've just been reading ever since that time. Yeah. And to me, reading, my relationship with reading is just a way to experience things that I might never experience in my lifetime. So when I was younger, I was alone a lot because I didn't have any siblings. So reading was just kind of like this place I could go without having to worry about physically having to go anywhere or be around anybody. I could just like escape to these places with these characters that I loved, you know? So it was like a comfort / like entertainment adventure for me. Number 2, do you have a reading goal this year? What is it, and do you think you'll reach it? My reading goal on GOODREADS is 75 books. It's the highest I've ever put down for a reading goal. I think I'm at like 51 or 52 books read for the year. So far, I'm ahead of schedule, like 2 books or something like that. So I think I will definitely meet my goal. I've, in general, been very into reading this year and last year. Last year was the first time I ever hit 50 books in a year, which is wild to me, and I've just really been enjoying myself. So I do think I'll hit it this year. I really hope I do. Watch me not hit it, and this will be pointless, but my GOODREADS is always linked in the description if you want to follow me and like follow along with what I'm reading. I really like GOODREADS, so yes. Number 3, what genre ever in a reading slump or I don't feel like reading, I could pick up a thriller and get hooked instantly. But I also really, really like fantasy. I really like romance. I like most genres. I don't think there's any genre I don't enjoy. But I think thriller is just like a really good like backup genre. I can always read a thriller. So I always make sure I have unread thrillers on my shelf, just in case. What's your favorite book of all time and why? My favorite book of all time is Flowers for Algernon. It's been that since like 7th grade. The story of Flowers for Algernon is in 7th grade. I had a literature textbook that we would read from, and in the back, way in the back, there was a snippet from Flowers for Algernon. And we were not assigned this snippet at all. We weren't assigned the snippet. I just like flipped to it randomly and was like, what is this? So I read the snippet and was like obsessed with the concept of the story, where a man with a very low IQ goes through a like experiment with these doctors and they alter his brain to become a genius along with this mouse named Algernon. And it was just like the most interesting story I'd ever like heard of in my mind ever. So I read that book. I went to the library, I took it out, I was obsessed. I read it in like one day and I cried so hysterically. I'd never cried that hard at a book. I had never felt so much for a character before. I'd never been so invested in a story like this. And it was like the first adult book I'd ever really read. And it will just forever hold such a beautiful like little spot in my heart. And I highly recommend to all to read Flowers for Algernon. It is such a good book. Number 5. What's the worst book you've ever read? Oh no. The worst. Oh, I don't know. maybe that. I don't know what that is. But maybe that. I do love a good book tap. I would say books are like one of the best things to tap on. Number 7, who is your favorite author and what draws you to their writing? I have 2 favorite authors where I've read like many of their books, and every time it's just so good. And I would say it's either Jodi Picoult. I've learned how to pronounce her name this year. Thought it was Jodi Picoult for the longest time, but it is Jodi Picoult. Jodi Picoult. I would say it's Jodi Picoult or Liane Moriarty, for 2 very different reasons. Jodi Picoult is very good at delivering to me a contemporary novel that has very relatable characters. I can see myself in like every one of her novels. And she gives me these contemporary novels about everyday things that are just so heartbreaking and emotional, and then she makes you think about it in a completely different way that you would have never thought you would ever have to think about it. And it's just so good. It's just so good. I love her books. I highly recommend from her. Obviously My Sister's Keeper, if you haven't read it, read it. Even if you've watched the movie, read the book, please. It is so good. And maybe The Pact. The Pact is a very good one by her. I really liked that one. There's so many good ones. And then Liane Moriarty, similar. I can always relate to her characters, but at the same time, she is able to create such a mystery in the mundane, like everyday life. She can completely make it so interesting and mysterious, and you want to know what twist she's talking about the whole book. She's just so good at that. Liane Moriarty, I recommend Truly Madly Guilty, Apples Never Fall, and Big Little Lies. I would say that those are like my top 3. They're very good. Okay. Next. 8. What book has been the biggest, or what book has had the biggest impact on your life? Ooh, I've read so many that have had big impacts on my life. But I would say Twilight, funny enough, because that book in that series really got me into reading and really got me into like the world of reading, and also it really got me into like book talk and booktube. Book talk, I'm sorry, was not a thing at all, but I think my obsession with booktube really paved the way for me to be obsessed with book talk. So I would say Twilight just for that reason. Number 9. Do you prefer reading physical books or ebooks? 100% physical books I prefer, but I get through ebooks a lot faster because my eyes just like, I can make the text as big as I want. It's never too heavy. I'm never uncomfortable reading, and I can just scan so fast. And I read so fast on an ebook, but there's always something about a physical book that I'll never be tired of. So, definitely physical. Okay, number 10. How do you choose which book to read next? Honestly, I'm a mood reader, so it's whatever I'm feeling. But at the same time, I don't like to read too many of the same kind of books back to back unless I'm reading a series and I'm really obsessed with it. So, like, if I just read a thriller, I might pick up like a romance next, or something else like a fantasy, you know? I don't like to only read in one genre for too long. that genre again. So, yeah. Or I'll do like a blind pick and like do a TR jar type thing. I like to do that. Or I'll go on Book Talk or BookTube and see what everybody else is reading and maybe read that. Or I'll look on Libby or Hoopla, like the library, ebook library thing, and see what's on there. Stuff like that I'll do to pick my next read. Number 11, do you have any reading rituals or habits? No, not really. I definitely do annotate a lot my books. Like, if there's anything that speaks to me as I'm reading, I'll underline it. I like to break my spines. I don't like a funky spine unless I'm trying hard not to break the spine. But otherwise, no, I don't think so. 12, do you annotate your books? If yes, what's your method? Okay, so I do annotate my books. I always underline anything that speaks to me or creates an emotion from me or a reaction. Anything that's cute, any good writing, anything like that. And if it's like a reread, I like to annotate my rereads because I've already read it. So like Harry Potter, I read the whole series once, like 3 years ago. Now I'm going back and I'm really annotating it, and it's a completely different annotation experience because now I'm annotating like introductions to characters I love, scenes I really liked, anything like that, anything that like I'm now a fangirl of and I really want to remember and look back through, I'll annotate. But normally anything that I'm just like, oh, that was amazing, I will tab and annotate. So if I want to go back, I can go back and just see that annotation, you know. 13, what's a quote from a book you still think about often? A quote from a book I think about often. I guess I'll pick an easy one, because I do have Harry Potter here with me. In the first book, one of my favorite quotes in the entire series is from Dumbledore. And hold on, I got you, don't even worry about it, I got you. It is at the end of chapter 12, and Dumbledore says, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. And I have to tell myself that like every day. Like, life isn't just about goals and planning and all that kind of stuff. Life is about living and really experiencing and appreciating moments as they happen. So that's a big one that has stuck with me for a while. Every time I reread that book, and just in general, I really like that quote. Number 14, what's the last book you read that you couldn't put down? Right now I'm reading Akhtar for the first time, and I literally can't put it down. Like, I had to physically stop myself to film this, and I will be finishing it tonight, and I'm not even halfway through, so I'm excited about that. I think about it all day long until I read it. I'm very much enjoying that book. 15, what's a book you've read? What's a book you've read recently that surprised you? Recently I tried to read How to Sell a Broken House, a Haunted House, by the guy that wrote How to Slay Vampires, or whatever, or a Southern Woman's Guide to Slaying Vampires. That book, he wrote How to Sell a Haunted House. And I've been trying to read it for like a month on my Libby app. And I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not into it. And I stopped like 50% through. And I'm just really not enjoying that book, so I DNF'd it. And that really surprised me because I thought I was gonna love it. Especially from like the beginning. It started off so good. And yeah, I ended up really not liking it. So that surprised me. And that also is my answer for 16, which is the book that disappointed you, or was a book that disappointed you. That definitely disappointed me. And also Age of Vice. That book also disappointed me because it sounded so good, and it started off really good, but I did not enjoy that book either. And I also DNF'd that book. 17, what book do you think has the prettiest cover? Currently, like, the book cover that I'm obsessed with is actually Hellbent, which is the second book in the Ninth House series. I don't know what the series is actually called, but like the second book to Ninth House. Haven't read it, haven't bought it, don't literally know anything about it, but I read the first book, so when the second book came out, I looked at it on the shelf, and the covers are gorgeous for both books, but if you open up the hardcover of the second book, the inside art is so gorgeous. It's ridiculous. And I think about that cover like all the time because it's so gorgeous. I love a good inside cover art, you know, or just book art in general. Love it. Like Atlas 6, the art throughout that book, gorgeous. Love that. Which book, 18, which book in your collection has the tingliest cover? I don't know what that means. Tingliest cover. I'm gonna skip that one because I don't know what that means. I didn't watch the whole video of this because I wanted it to be a surprise, but maybe I should have. 19, what book do you think has the ugliest cover? I'm gonna think about this while I restart you. The ugliest cover. I'm really trying to think of an ugly cover that I don't enjoy. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of the new Atlas 6 cover. I like the original cover better. Like the self-published one, maybe that. Yeah, I'll go with that because I can't really think of anything. So, yeah. 20, what is your favorite trope? I really like enemies to lovers or friends to lovers. Anything like that, I'm obsessed with. I also really like the, I don't know if this is a trope, but like rich people behaving badly and like doing crazy things. I do like that. 21, what is a book you've read that you would recommend to everyone? To everyone. Oh no. standalone books or series and why. I personally prefer standalones by principle because series can intimidate me and make me not want to read the books. But this year I've read a lot of series back to back and like binged them, and I do really like to do that and like get really obsessed with a series. So that's a hard one. I would say this year has been like the year of the series, so I'll say series, but normally it'd be standalone. 23, do you have a favorite book to movie adaptation? A favorite book to movie adaptation that I've read both of would be probably oh no, I don't know. Oh no. Probably I really do like the Harry Potter series. Book to movie. I think that's like a genius book to movie adaptation. I really love the first Twilight movie, book to movie adaptation. That's fantastic. What else can I say? Practical Magic was really good as a book as well as a very fantastic movie. Yeah, I'm gonna say those because I don't know. I feel like everything else I haven't seen both of, so I'm gonna say that. 24, what's a book that you've been meaning to read for a long time but haven't gotten around to yet? Actar, but I have started reading it, so I'm gonna say something else. I've really wanted to read so many books. I'm gonna say Fourth Wing because everybody's obsessed with Fourth Wing and I still haven't read it, so I'm gonna say Fourth Wing. 25, do you have a particular book that you like to revisit or reread every few years? I read Flowers for Algernon every year. I love that book. Like I said, I like to read around like Christmas time. Yeah, I'll say that one. I don't think there's anything else I really reread that often. I'm rereading Harry Potter again for the first time, a second time. So, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that every couple of years, but we shall see. Okay, and I wanted to answer my least favorite trope because they didn't ask that, and I think that's important. My least favorite tropes are a lot of them. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like unexpected pregnancy. Absolutely not. Pregnancy in general. Absolutely not. Kids in books. Leave them at home. Why are they in the book? I don't like the cheating, but it's okay trope. I don't like any of that. Okay, cool. So this or that, quick fire, fiction or nonfiction? Fiction. But I do like nonfiction, but I'll say fiction. Hardcover, paperback, romance or thrillers, comedy or tragedy, comedy, classics or contemporary, library or bookstore, library, only because free is my favorite flavor. But bookstore because libraries, I feel like I get sick when I read library books because like people touch them. I don't know. Indoors or outdoors for reading. I want to say outdoors, but like realistically indoors, let's be honest. Sofa or bed? Sofa, because if I'm in bed, I'm gonna fall asleep in silence or with music/sounds.